Hey guys, welcome back. I had a plan for this week's video, but as usual, Dollar Tree inventory always throws a curveball my way. So the situation with this week is that my Dollar Tree's refrigerator is currently broken, so I couldn't buy any refrigerated food. The freezer was still working, but I figured this would be a good opportunity to explore some Dollar Tree meal ideas that don't require any refrigerated or frozen ingredients for those who shop at stores that don't have a refrigerator or a freezer. So all of the ingredients that I'm using are pantry ingredients, shelf stable, so that is also beneficial to those who have limited to no refrigerator space, or those who simply like having ingredients that aren't going to expire or have to be used within a certain amount of time. And these are also great meal ideas if you want to buy the ingredients in advance and keep them in your pantry for a rainy day or a short paycheck when you need a couple meals to just get you through until the end of the week. So let's go ahead and hop right in. So the first recipe I'm going to be sharing is one that I have tried before, but this will be my first time making it with only pantry ingredients. And this actually came off of TikTok. This was a recipe called the blue collar belly warmer that I tried and I absolutely loved it. So I'm making some adjustments to make it shelf stable, but we have a can of corn and a can of peas. I also have 2 cans of condensed beef and vegetable soup. I have a packet of biscuit mix and some instant potatoes. You can really use any flavor of potatoes. I went with roasted garlic, and you could also use the cheddar garlic biscuit mix. I just thought maybe that would be a little bit too much garlic, so I went with homestyle mix. This meal is so easy to put together and it is insanely delicious, although I haven't tried it with the beef and vegetable soup, so that will be new for me. I boiled 2 cups of water. I'm gonna mix in my instant potatoes. This is also a very filling meal if you need one that will feed a lot of people. It makes about 6 total servings, and it cost me $7.50, looks like, for all the ingredients. Now, typically I would top this with some shredded cheese, but I am not using any refrigerated or frozen ingredients, so I'm just going to leave off the cheese, but if you have some, feel free to use that as well. The only other thing to prep is the biscuit mix, so I'm going to mix my packet with a half a cup of water. You can, of course, use milk here if you want to. Dollar Tree does sell a shelf-stable milk that you can buy without needing access to a fridge. It is great. Let me grab some real quick. So this is the pantry milk you can buy at Dollar Tree. It's about a quart of milk. Again, it's fantastic. It's a great price. It is shelf stable. Once you open it, it does need to be refrigerated, but you don't have to have a Dollar Tree with a refrigerator to purchase this. And it's great to keep in your pantry in those instances where you run out of milk or your milk expires or something to that degree. I love this stuff. I usually try to keep a couple cartons on hand. So while I am preparing this, I am also preheating my oven to 400 degrees. Which is, sometimes you might hear like a little click in the background there. That's all that is. I find that this biscuit mix can be a little bit dry, so I tend to add an extra 1 to 2 tablespoons to get it a drop biscuit consistency. In comes a baking dish, and from here, this entire meal is going to be dump and bake. So we only had to prepare our potatoes and our biscuit mix. If you want to make this even more filling, feel free to add a second bag of potatoes to it. And we are just going to start by spreading a layer of mashed potatoes onto the bottom of our baking dish here. Does not have to be perfect. You are just spreading some taters on the bottom of a baking dish. And you're really not going to be able to see any of this anyways. I just try to make sure that it's kind of an even layer essentially. Next up, I have my 2 cans of beef and vegetable soup. And we're going to go ahead and dump both of those right on top. This is a really hearty soup mix. It's got lots of veggies in it. It's got barley in it, big chunks of beef. It's a really great alternative for making casseroles or anything that requires both beef and gravy. When I originally made this, I used 2 beef patties from the Dollar Tree and some brown gravy mix. So this is a great no cook, no refrigerator substitution, and it's got a lot of really hearty ingredients in there. Nice little homey meal. Next up, our peas and our corn. This is also a very veggie-packed meal. You can season this up any way you want. I'm just going to be adding some pepper. I opt not to add salt because we have a lot of very salty ingredients between the potatoes and the beef and vegetable soup. So I feel like we have plenty of salt, but feel free to season it with as much black pepper as you want. You can also add garlic powder, onion powder, anything you have on hand. And then the final step is with our prepared biscuit mix. I am going to add little bits of biscuits right over the top here. Try to cover as much of the surface with the biscuits as I can, but I do want them to look like little blobs of biscuits rather than one like solid sheet of biscuit. I think it presents a little bit better that way. And then once you've got all your little biscuit baubles on top, this is going to get baked at 400 degrees for about 20 to 25 minutes. So 20 minutes on the dot, and there is our blue collar belly warmer. This has so many great flavors. I'm very excited to dig into this. It is one of my favorite dinners that I've made by far. As I said, this is a little bit of a different variation, but I'm sure it will be delicious. This smells so good and such an incredibly cozy recipe, I feel like. I mean, you can't really go wrong. I feel like it's incredibly kid-friendly. It's got potatoes and biscuits and corn and peas. I mean, depending on if your kids like peas. I was a kid who did not like peas, but let's go ahead and try our blue collar belly warmer. That was a fail. I definitely just got that on my shirt. This is insanely delicious, from the garlicky mashed potatoes to those crunchy little biscuits on top. It's like all of the different textures that really come together in this. I love the crisp, sweet, like little hints of corn in there. Honestly, definitely one of my favorite Dollar Tree meals that I've ever made, and I feel like this is a really good adaptation of that, since I didn't use any refrigerated ingredients in this. So for the second dinner, there are many different ways you can prepare this. You can do it on your stovetop if you want to. I am actually going to be making this in my rice cooker, so it's totally no heat. Basically, it's not going to warm up your house in any sort of way. It is still technically summer. So I have a bag of Spanish rice. I do want to let my vegetarian followers know that this Spanish rice has chicken powder in it. So if you're vegetarian, you would have to find a substitute for that, like the Knorr rice, but I don't particularly like that one because it's rice and pasta. I like this one because it's rice, but of course it has chicken powder in it. So the next thing that I have is 2 cans of chicken. I have a can of black beans, a can of corn, and a can of Rotel. So again, this is another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is another $7.50 dinner. So this is my multi-cooker. It is a kind of all-in-one cooking appliance. It's a rice cooker, it's a slow cooker, it has a saute function. I do think it's a really handy appliance for those who live in small spaces, small apartments, maybe those who don't really want to use their oven or stovetop too much. Any of my like one pot or skillet meals can also be made in something like this because of the saute function. And I honestly don't really talk about it that much because I hate the idea that, you know, I'm kind of selling something in a way, like I'm not sponsored by Aroma or anything like that. I do have an Amazon link for it, but that's pretty much it. I just think it's a really helpful appliance, like I said, for those who live in unique situations, like if you're in a hotel or motel, small apartment, college dorm. I know that some college dorms don't let you have appliances, but really, like, it's a money-saving tool. It is around $50, I want to say. Any rice cooker will work for this recipe. It does not have to be this multi-cooker. I'm just putting it out there that I think it's helpful. Into my rice cooker, I'm going to add my can of rinsed and drained black beans, also my can of drained corn. I do like to drain things whenever particularly I am making rice, because adding too much water can throw off the ratios and make the rice soupy, and I do want nice, light, fluffy rice, so I tend to just prefer to drain things so that I don't add too much liquid. I'm also going to drain my can of Rotel, and lastly my 2 cans of chicken. I am going to go ahead and dump in my bag of Spanish rice, and I'm also going to add in 2 cups of water. Now this rice cooker comes with this measuring cup, and this is technically 3/4 of a cup, so I do like to use 2 of these, so technically it's 1.5 cups of water. I like to add a little bit less water when I'm making rice in the rice cooker versus when I'm making rice on the stove. I'm going to go ahead and stir all of that together. And another thing to keep in mind, I'm adding less liquid because there is already some degree of liquid in the tomatoes and the chicken and things like that. So it should all come together totally fine. I like to cut back on the water with the rice cooker. I find that it gets me a little bit of a better result. Once everything is all mixed together, I'm turning this on. I'm going to turn it to the rice function, and then I'm going to hit start, and I'm just going to let that run until it's done. So the total amount of time that it takes to make rice in this rice cooker is, I would say, about 40 to 45 minutes or so, because it needs some time to heat up, get everything cooking, and standard rice takes about 30 minutes. So I'd say dinner, it's pretty dump and go, and then a lot of waiting. But yeah, 45 minutes and you should be ready to go. This is just about done. It's got a minute left on it. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop this open. I do open it kind of slowly at first so that the condensation can kind of go back. Oh, there's a timer. It does have like a little catch thing, a little drip bin in the back, I guess I should say. And then I'm gonna go in and fluff this rice. Now I realize you cannot see inside the pot, so let me get a bowl and I'll show you what this looks like. There is my, I don't really know what to call this. There is a recipe on the back of one of those cans for ranchero chicken, and the ingredients are somewhat similar. I've made a similar dish before. I called it like a Tex-Mex taco rice skillet or something to that degree. So I'm sure I'll come up with a name for this one. In the meantime, it looks pretty good. It actually tastes good. I've already tried some of it. I'm gonna try it again on camera for you guys. I did add a little bit of taco sauce to it, which I think is a really good addition. If your Dollar Tree sells cheese, then you can add some of that to it. Otherwise, yeah, this is kind of my little rice cooker, complete meal in a rice cooker. If you've been with me for a while, then you may have already seen this recipe. It is one of my all-time favorite Dollar Tree meals that I've made. It is my version of chicken a la king. Now, I do like to make this in a skillet just for presentation purposes, but you definitely don't need a skillet to make this. You can do it in any sort of a baking dish, and it is, for the most part, dump and bake. So here I have a packet of biscuit mix. This is the cheddar garlic flavor. I just feel like it adds a little bit of extra to this, but you can use any flavor. You can use the homestyle. I have 2 cans of chicken a la king. For those of you who are unfamiliar with chicken a la king, this is basically a chicken in like a gravy type of sauce with vegetables. It is a non-condensed soup, meaning you don't add any water or milk to it, and it is fantastic. I also do like to add some extra chicken and some extra vegetables to it. This makes it a little bit more chicken pot pie-esque in my opinion, but you can always just bake the biscuits and serve some hot chicken a la king over top of them. That is amazing. You definitely don't need to add the extras that I'm doing here. I just like to make it more of a chicken pot pie, like I said. So quite simply, I am just going to be preparing the biscuit mix. I'm going to be mixing that with a 1/2 cup plus an additional 2 tablespoons of water or so. Pretty much the same as what I did with the first meal that I made. I do like to add a little bit of extra water because I find that the biscuit mix can be a little bit dry otherwise. Now, as I mentioned, for the most part, this is fairly dump and bake. So I have my skillet here, and I'm going to dump in both of my cans of chicken a la king. This has some nice little bits of like red pepper and stuff in it. It is quite a nice soup by itself. Now, I don't often show myself scraping out the cans, but I do scrape them out. I just tend to edit that out so that it's not something that you have to sit there and painstakingly watch me scrape out every single can. No drop left behind, you know. Now into this goes my can of drained chicken and my can of drained vegetables. I also like to go ahead and season this with some pepper. But this is another one of the situations where I don't really add salt to it because I feel like there are plenty of like kind of salty ingredients already. That all gets mixed together, and as you can see, this is a beautiful thick and creamy base for like a chicken pot pie style dish, and it's so easy because I can literally put this together in about 5 to 10 minutes or so if I'm not talking to the camera, of course. And then just like I did in the first recipe, I'm gonna sit here and put some like little biscuit dollops right on top. And then I'm gonna bake this at 400 degrees for about 20 minutes or so. Now, if you don't have an oven, this can still be made in a stovetop version or in a slow cooker. It would be a little bit more of like a chicken and dumpling style dish because the biscuits wouldn't get quite as brown on top, but that's definitely an option. You could just put this all in a skillet on your stovetop, cover it up with a lid, and kind of let it simmer for about 20 minutes until the biscuits are cooked all the way through. But I'm gonna bake it just for the presentation so I have those nice golden brown biscuits. So 400 degrees for 20 minutes. There's my skillet chicken a la king. It did take about 25 minutes in the oven to get the biscuits nice and brown on top, and I cannot get over how pretty this looks straight out of the oven. It's such a beautiful meal, only $6.25. Fantastic price, fantastic meal. And fun fact, it is currently 11 o'clock in the morning as I am filming this, so this is actually going to be my breakfast, or my brunch, I guess you could call it. But I would eat this any time of day, to be honest with you. It is such a warm, comforting meal. I have probably made this no less than, I'd say 6 times since I started this channel. So it's definitely one that I revisit frequently, and it kind of fits into just so many like little things. Like, it's a 5-ingredient dinner. I consider the 2 cans of chicken a la king to be 2 ingredients. It's all shelf stable. It's available at most Dollar Trees, because even that chicken a la king you can buy on the Dollar Tree website. So I feel like it's a really great dish and I have no complaints. It's like chicken pot pie with like 70% less work, and I mean, how can you go wrong with that? So for my final meal of this video, we're gonna be making an Italian pasta salad. I guess it's called an Italian pasta salad, but I'm gonna be using 3 boxes of this Suddenly Classic pasta salad. We're gonna be dressing it up. I'm gonna be adding some sliced olives, some diced tomatoes, and some pepperoni to it. I feel like a broken record player, but if your store has a refrigerated section, you can add some shredded cheddar cheese, some shredded mozzarella cheese to it. But again, I'm working within the limitations of non-refrigerated items, so this is all I'm going to be adding to it today. I am actually prepping this to be my lunches because I really like pasta salad as my lunch, but this also works as a dinner as well. This is going to be my lunches for the next few days. So I've got my pasta boiling behind me, and I'm going to go ahead and prepare the sauce. This is a mixture of water and oil per the package instructions, and I am doing a little bit more water and oil than the package calls for so I can make it a little bit more saucy. The benefit to using this particular pasta salad is that it's already got some veggies in it, it's already got some cheese in it. It's really a fantastic little shortcut pasta salad, and you can just add some add-ins and kind of make it your own. I did try to look around for some other kind of things that I could add to it, like banana peppers, but my Dollar Tree didn't have any. So feel free to check out your store's inventory and see what they've got. Sometimes they have little jars of like roasted red peppers. They have like pickled asparagus, all sorts of things that I'm sure you can add to this. You could even add some beans to it though. Like some white beans would probably be really good to add some kind of fullness to it. These pepperonis are shelf stable. They come kind of vacuum sealed. I'm gonna be using all of them. When I was a kid, one of my favorite snacks would be to take pepperonis and just microwave them until they were crispy, like on a paper towel. So I'm going to be stacking these up. I think I'm gonna cut them into quarters. So yeah, I'm gonna go and cut all of these into quarters. Not very neatly, apparently. I think my knives are a little dull, but that's okay. The olives are pre-sliced, so all I have to do there is drain those. I have to taste one first to make sure they're good, because I love olives. I'm gonna try something that someone suggested in the comments, which is related to these tomatoes. I've talked about them before, how they're quite large, like they're not petite diced tomatoes. And someone suggested that I just take a pair of scissors into the can and just kind of chop them down. Obviously, a clean pair of scissors. I don't know how well this is going to work, but you know, it's worth a shot. And now for the tomatoes, I am going to drain them, and I'm also going to rinse them just to get off some of the extra liquid so that it doesn't really make our pasta salad too watery. Now, whenever I'm making pasta salad that I want to eat kind of right away or rather quickly, I set myself up an ice bath in a large bowl. I strain my pasta and I kind of submerge it in the ice bath, and then I just kind of toss it around until the pasta is chilled. So I'm going to go ahead and just toss this in the dressing here. The tomato chopping trick did seem to work pretty well. So in goes my tomatoes, my olives, and my pepperonis. And one other thing that you can add is some extra Parmesan cheese. As I mentioned, this pasta salad kit does already have cheese in it. Romano cheese. So it does already have some Romano cheese in it, but if you have some Parmesan, you want to throw some of that in there, it'll just add some extra pizzazz to it. I'm going to divide this not so neatly between 4 containers. I'm actually going to use a measuring cup. Will make this even easier. So now I do want to mention that I am absolutely stuffed full because I ate way too much of that chicken a la king, but I do want to try a little bit of this on camera, and then I'm just going to eat this for my lunches over the next couple days or just snack on it here and there. I love having things like this just ready to go in the fridge. It's so cold and refreshing on a hot summer day. So let's go ahead and try and get a little bit of everything. I want a pepperoni. Okay. There we go. Let's go and try our pasta salad. If you like pizza, supreme pizza particularly, I would definitely recommend trying how I made it today, because with the combination of the tomatoes, the olives, the pepperoni, and then of course the pasta salad already has some dried peppers in it. It's got Romano cheese, it's got Parmesan cheese. This tastes like pizza. So I would probably classify this as a pizza pasta salad, and it's fantastic. Like, I absolutely think that this tastes just like pizza, which is great to me. So, So this was a really fun video to make, and I really enjoyed all of the meals, even within the limitations of not using refrigerated or frozen ingredients. I hope that this gives you some ideas on some meals you can still make, even if your Dollar Tree doesn't have a fridge, because I know that that's fairly common. And I think that they're installing more fridges in more locations, so hopefully that helps some of you guys out. I do think it's a fantastic option if you're on a tight budget. All of these meals were under $10 each, which is really great in my opinion. So I hope you guys are having a fantastic day, and I will see you again soon.